You ready for a clap?
Yep. You got it? That was sweet.
That was a good clap.
All right.
A real hand cracker.
A real hand
I was going to say, those were bear paws.
Yeah, and these mitts. Welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast.
You almost said it, didn't you?
I almost did.
You almost said it.
A quick note for people that watch on YouTube. We're both in unique situations, us and Nick right now. We are we're building, you could say, studios right now for the upcoming podcast that we're the continuation of the podcast we're doing now. And so even though sometime I'll lean back and I might disappear into Nick's face, I'm still here. And Nick is actually, where are you right now? Glamping somewhere, you said.
Yes, we are glamping. We are on location up here in Silver Lake. I wouldn't say, well, yeah, it is northern Michigan because it's north of Big Rapids. But
Yeah.
I tell you,
Is Big Rapids the line?
Slice.
Ooh,
I
that's
don't know what the line is.
that's debatable.
I would consider Big Rapids up north, but I don't know if that's true.
I would say north
more
of
central. Baldwin. I think
Baldwin south.
think, like,
Big Rapids is south of Baldwin.
Now, here's the thing.
that's what I'm saying. I think that might be it.
The gateway to the west is St. Louis, and St. Louis has nothing
Right in the
to
middle.
do out west. It's the gateway.
Yeah.
I would say Big Rapids is the gateway.
Okay.
I would think
I love Big Rapids.
like a Howard City would
Howard
be the
City?
gateway,
I still think Baldwin. I think
or like a White
Big
Cloud.
Rapids is central, like Baldwin. And
No,
up.
you're still gonna get the northern Michigan big woods feel
But
in
so you're
Big
talking
Rapids
more culture
as
and-
you would in, say, like a Ludington or a Reed City
Yeah.
or a Baldwin. You're still gonna get that feel.
Okay. All right.
That's my.
This
my
is so
take.
for people that listen that don't know what we're talking about. This is all Michigan stuff. So you're
with
gonna
it.
have to deal
Just
with
deal
it.
with it.
We're Michigan guys. Our blood runs.
But you're up
Blue
at
and yellow.
you're up at Silver Lake, which means either, like we said, you're glamping or you're off in the dunes.
Yeah. Have you been
doing anything?
Today was Dune Day.
Okay.
We did both the hike and we did the Mac Dune rides.
Okay.
Both are a must do. I love this area up here. I've got history up here, but being a duner and taking up
That's a name.
quad,
Wait.
A duner?
Did you just call yourself a
duner.
dooner? All right.
Dune
Fair.
and then and that is the term given to folks who come up and do the ORV stuff.
Sure.
I mean, it's an absolute hoot, and you see anywhere from like high dollar rigs to some jalopy some guy made in his
Yeah.
in his garage, and they all go up on these big sand dunes. There's a whole section for just ripping stuff up, doing donuts, jumping stuff. Basically, you bring it, you break it, and you bring it home and have a lot of fun.
It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
That does seem.
But the section where you do
yeah.
the hiking, that's where I really enjoy it. We got to take all the boys up. We got real sandy. We got to jump in Silver Lake, get them all wet, and then, climb back up the dunes, sandy again.
Yeah.
Bring as much of that sand with you
Of
in
course.
the vehicle as
Yep.
possible. Hose them down. We took a couple on the dune rides. So it was a full day of sun and sand.
Would you say you are a constant sugar cookie the whole day? Just covered in
Yes.
sand, and it's just.
There's just this, like, the crotch of your elbow.
Oh, yes.
Like, between it, there's this paste of sweat and
I
sand
think isn't that
gets
your
created.
weenus? That's your weenus.
That's the backside, dude. That's
Oh
the,
yeah. No, this
Gotcha.
is your. No, never mind.
Never
That's. Well, that's when we were in high school, that was a thing. Like a lot of the guys in our high school with the big trucks would do. Remember, they'd go up to Silver.
Yes, that was a big thing to go up to Silver Lake with your truck.
And somebody in our grade, I
Never
feel
went.
like she crashed or something, and like broke her guts. Something in her guts broke, like bad.
Yes, like
Uh,
ruptured intestines,
ruptured.
and
Yeah.
she went straight into the handlebars.
I feel like
of
yeah.
something we don't know what,
Yeah.
but it wasn't pretty.
So
I do
you
remember that.
stay
though.
safe out there, Nick.
Gotcha. Yep. No, I'm in the Silverado studio right now. She keeps all her tires either on gravel or pavement. Her
Nice.
job is to pull things.
Yep.
The last thing you want to do is take the vehicle that got you up there, towed your home or your home away from home up there,
Yes.
and crash it,
Yeah.
break it, because now you're stranded.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. No, that's you know what? That's what a smart person does.
Yeah. I would have just jumped it.
I
man.
do it.
So Nick, we wanted to have you on because we want to start, and we were talking about this before the show, having you come on and guide us a little bit. Like, we like to cook, and you know, I feel like we're okay at it, but Nick is another level, right? And so as we kind of go throughout the year, we wanted to maybe have you on a couple times to just walk us through some recipes or some things we should be thinking about for the upcoming season. So right now, you know, it's September when this comes out in Michigan, and so we're all thinking about like whitetail deer, like and
It's
wild
getting
turkeys.
close.
Wild turkey's the 15th, right? So it's 17th.
That I couldn't tell you. I think so.
Something like that, and then
Thanksgiving,
small game
that's
too.
a big time for turkey as well.
Yeah, that is true. So we're gonna be in the woods going for, you know, fall turkey, deer, and you know, even maybe small game. Like,
There'll be deer shot in September.
and yes,
Youth
there are
season.
youth season
Youth
too,
season,
and plus
veteran,
October 1. So we
Liberty.
got a lot of stuff coming up. Needless to say.
Needless.
And so you've come on our show before and kind of shared some great tips and just kind of approaches to food. But, you know, coming off of last year, what'd you learn with food prep, and what are you going to be doing going into, you know, this whitetail, you know, turkey fall season?
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That is
deal
a
with
lot.
it.
Yes.
Deal with it, man.
That is it. It's a full load. So buckle up.
Yeah.
Last year I learned a lot of. I mean, if we're going to break down to it, my biggest learning curve was, you know, I worked to get this mobile setup. You know, I listened to these guys, this Jared and James, and they talk about how great these saddles are.
They
And
are pretty great.
I
Bunch
end
of
up-
idiots.
I tell you what, I end up getting one thinking like, you know, I can school these guys. I can tell them what's up. So anyway,
Yeah.
I went with the mobile setup. I
Yeah.
actually, guys, I really do enjoy it. The comfort level, the ability to go different places. You know, it's not as painstaking like with my climber that I
Yeah.
feel at home in the climber, but I got to find a telephone pole.
I know.
And being able just to throw the stick on and being able to always be attached.
Yeah.
That was
Mhm.
another thing that really got me
Safety.
going.
That was big for
But-
me.
Yeah.
Yes. But this year, last year, corn came out super early at the turkey farm. So that disrupted patterns. The normal watering hole that we have, well, the tube that feeds it got clogged up with roots. They'd broken into it,
Oh,
clogged it up. So the normal water hole was now dry. And the neighbors had put in a bunch of different plots. And so there was just this massive change in deer activity. And so now having this ability to be mobile, I had to learn, like, I had to re-scout. I couldn't go with the old playbook at this point.
Right.
I had to put that off the side and shoot from the hip. So it really had me exploring new areas of our property at the turkey farm. It also had me reaching out into public, figuring out where are they coming from. If they're coming to me somehow, so I need to reach beyond what I thought my normal border was and look further on that. So that really, in a sense, opened up myself to, like, I can't just be this, you know, weekend warrior hunter and hit my same stops every time. If situations are going to change, I'm going to also have to adapt. So that was a learning curve
How many
that I had to go through.
Mhm.
How many trail cams do you run? Run. Is that what guys say?
running.
Yeah.
How many trail cams?
cams do you run?
I got 2.
Okay.
I might be back down to 1 just because they're both older. They're both off the shelf. I think I got them at Cabela's for cheap, and they're eclipsing 5+ years.
Yeah, they get tired.
They do. They get tired a lot, but at the same time, like, they do their job. They take a quick picture, and so being able to move those around was nice. Because of how I had to quick on the fly during season I kind of put the cams off to the side and just went with what I was seeing. Where is sign?
Yep.
Where do I see
Woodsmanship
activity?
skills.
That was a big thing, is I really had to get away from technology to be my crutch. I really had to use my own sense of where I saw things happening. So that was probably my biggest learning curve as far as technique goes, being in the woods.
Did you like that? Was that enjoyable?
It was. Mainly
Or was
because
it
I was
like- or was it-
successful.
Or was it like just like a new experience, so you're like excited about it?
Or is
But
it? Or would you gladly go back? Or like, you know, how do you feel about it?
If you had the choice, one hand you got your private back, the watering hole back, corn's gonna stay there late, or you've got a chance to go try new places.
Where are you at?
Where are you at? Like,
Right. It was exciting. It did bring thrill. And not to say that I lost thrill with my old spots, my old ways, but it did bring about, like, I don't know, it was a new frustration, but at the same time, like, all the wins, like when you saw activity and then you put your eyes on deer, it was
yes.
just like, hot damn, we got something working now.
Yeah,
This
you
is- I'm
you
gonna
tricked
work
them.
with it. I'm gonna work with it.
Yeah.
And it actually took me right up until the last day of archery season.
Okay.
I did a morning sit, didn't turn out the way that I wanted to, and I was feeling down about it, and I was like, this is my last day. And by all means, there's a bunch of people that were out there going for the gun opener, and they can tell you how bad a weather that was. So I really did not want to be out in all that wind and rain that day. And I happened to, about 5:30, get a deer coming off the ridge, and he was heading towards where I had set up near a bedding area, and I was like, this is going to happen. I don't care what that is. It could have spots. It could be the biggest buck in the world. I don't know. That thing is going to go down.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't had anything that entire archery season.
Yep.
So he came in, and he started on my left side. That was going to be, the picture perfect right-hand shooter out of that. And he happened to then work his way around to my right side. So he made me work for the shot too.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing away in the saddle. I had to roll all the way around.
Did you put your bow up over the tree, or did you kind of like spin around like some guys do?
I did a little, like, I guess you would call it a plie move from ballet.
I will
from
call
being,
it that. Yeah.
In ballet, where I had to like shift my feet around, but I have one of the artisan platforms attaches to the stick, so it's real small.
Yeah.
So but at the same time, I like how stable that is. But so I was able to shift around there. I did go arm over, so I had my tether coming up underneath my
your bridge
left arm there.
Yep.
I had to lay out a little bit for it, but I tell you, sealing the deal and having that thing drop 30 yards away, it was like, hey, I had all the feels, I had all the thrills.
That's awesome,
as of being a new hunter. So it was like that was what it was all about.
Yeah, you mentioned those small sticks or the small platforms. How small is
Wingman?
Yeah, the Wingman
from Trophy Line.
Trophy Line. He sent it. I'm gonna give that a whirl. It's attached to a stick,
Just
so
goes
I feel
right
like
to
you
the
can.
top of your stick. Yeah.
I thought it was an extra stick.
No, it attaches to the top of a climbing stick. So that once you get to the top of your sticks, that's your platform.
I might try that.
So as your last stick has the Wingman on it.
I'm not
very similar to what Is it the Artisan you said?
Yeah.
Is it called the Artisan, or is it in an artesian?
I thought it was artisan fabricators.
I don't know.
Did somebody
his name right now? But he makes them.
It's a company.
Okay,
That's
it is
the
a
answer to
company,
your
not
question.
somebody
I'm
who
following.
made it.
I'm following.
Yeah.
Okay, you like it? Because I'm looking at that. I have the the
EDP.
EDP, the everyday platform. It's just a smaller one, but I'm like, there's even a smaller one. Is it less comfortable, or is it not bad?
It's not bad. It's just like, I would say it's not any different. You're standing closer to the tree at that point. It's like a rung of a ladder. That's probably the footprint that it gives. And being able to, I move my legs a lot against the tree. I don't use knee pads. I've got like a double thick on my, it's like a doubled up material on the knees.
Yep.
So I actually don't have a lot of problem, but being able to push with the knees, but at the same time being able to push off that platform, it gives just the amount of space that I desire up there. I don't need a whole lot of room.
Yeah, that's what I'm debating. Cause I'm like, I don't think I do either, and it would be nice to have even less weight, like the less stuff I can have. I'm just all about
less
that.
is more.
Because I jumped into this thing last year and trying to get this whole system to work. What I found was that if I could just attach something to a stick that I'm already working on, that's one less strap I have to take out there. That's one less piece of equipment I got to shove in a bag.
Yeah.
It was just one less thing
You're
that
lower.
I had to worry about.
You are slightly lower, although you don't really typically step too much higher than your top step. But you are probably. I don't go that high. I'm not a high hunter.
I like elevation.
I like
I
actually
like being able to
sometimes
see a lot. And
I'm actually thinking
I
about
live
this
my
year.
life at 5'8". Like,
I like
being a
that.
little shorter is not gonna harm anything in
You
my
can be
life. In
deadly.
fact, if we go too high, then I'm a little nervous, I guess.
That's the thing. Well, and
but
like
you're attached to the tree.
I've been
Right.
I've been watching Cody DeQuisto,
Mhm.
Lone Wolf guy, and he'll regularly hunt like
Two-step guy.
a one-step
One s-
guy.
oh,
Like
one
he's
stick.
hardly up. He's just in a like he'll go one step, he'll go 2 steps, but he'll stay pretty low for a lot of the time. And I'm like, man, I think a lot of times I'll pass up good spots just because they're not as high as I think they should be. So I don't know. I'm gonna try it out this year, and I think I'm gonna try that wingman.
Mhm.
Try it out.
There you
So,
go. Hey,
um,
if it's bolted on, that's just one less thing you got to worry
One
about.
less thing, just real simple. Tell me a little bit about how you cook that deer, and tell us about what we should be doing out there. We got all the,
Gotcha.
I feel like he's planning on at least 4 does this year, maybe 5.
Sure.
And I mean,
I
he's
get
going
that
to be
many
stacking
tags.
them. So what should we be doing? What are the things we should be thinking about going into the fall?
Gotcha. Fall time is an awesome time to, not only as you're preparing to bring in new new meat. There's a whole process there that goes with, like, being able to butcher and get stuff ready. But at the same time, it's also a good time to start using up a ton of what you have left over.
Yeah.
I know this is coming out in September, so we'll be in full swing in the school year. But as my profession comes up here, we're winding up summer and getting ready to get back into the school year, and being able to meal prep not only for the kids but for myself. That's been something I've been also, as I guess culinarily, have been trying to decide to do, is like, you know what, I need to have getting venison and getting wild turkey and getting fish and everything into my normal everyday stuff. It's just one more meal that I can add into meat I've acquired,
Yeah.
and relying less on grocery store. So I made them. Well, when was it? It was springtime. Yeah, it was springtime because I was finishing out the year, and I thought, you know what, it'd be nice to not have to pack a whole bunch of stuff, just have lunches ready. So I ended up making barbacoa burritos, venison barbacoa
Ooh,
burritos,
baby.
but made them freezer style. So
Okay.
I used an 8-inch tortilla, not the big, like 12-inch or 10-inch, 12-inch. I couldn't find them. It was hard to find those. But anyway, I got the smaller ones,
Mhm.
and they actually made a really nice size burrito. I would say, if you pull out your wallet, if you got a normal bifold wallet,
Yeah.
that was the size burrito that I was getting from
That's a
Just
good
like the
pocket
width
burrito.
of it, or just like the size, like
The whole-
the size
unfolded.
of it. So, like, the length of it's open. If you fold it up and it's just that little square, that was about the size of burrito I was getting.
Just a pocket
And
burrito, huh?
Yeah, just a
one for a
burri-
snack,
burrito.
2 for a lunch. That's how I plan that
Yeah.
out. And so I specifically made a bunch of barbacoa. And for listeners who are going like, what the heck, I only see that on a Mexican restaurant menu, I don't know how to make this. Literally take the hard cuts from the shoulder, from your shanks, you get them into a braise, you put some seasonings in there. You can use Ortega, you can use whatever Mexican seasoning you got.
Mhm.
I like to add a little cocoa when I'm adding
Ooh.
in anything Mexican, but you let that just go. You let that simmer either in your Dutch oven. My Instapot, I usually put that to work on that one just because it's fast and efficient. So now you end up with being able to pull out the bones, pull out the hard bits, and then
Yeah.
shred all that stuff up.
It
And then it's
shreds so
assembly time.
nice. Like I've got a barbacoa recipe that I've gotten,
That barbacoa I made. for
and
that.
like you said, I'll throw in some Mexican seasonings, some Chipotle peppers I like doing in there,
Oh,
just
baby.
that low smoky heat, and I'll actually smoke a whole shoulder for a few hours just to get some smoky flavor incorporated, and then I'll braise it in a beer back on the smoker. So same concept you're going with, just adding in a little smoky to it.
Exactly,
Yeah, man.
exactly. So then it becomes assembly line at this point.
Right.
And so
'Cause
what I
you've
ended
got,
up
how many are
doing-
you making at a time?
Well, that was what I didn't know what I was going to
Okay,
be able
right,
to get out of
right,
this. So I'm going to say a number. I'm going to say what I got out of it. And depending on what you're making, how much you stuff yours, how much you eat before you stuff, it's going to
I'm eating
it's going
all
to
the
come
time.
all into play.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, I ended up getting about 35 to 40 of these little snack burritos.
Wow.
These little wallet-sized burritos.
Off of how much meat?
I was probably putting in 2 tablespoons, or like as in not a measuring spoon, but as in a like soup spoon. I was getting about 2 dabs of that.
Okay.
But I also added in cooked down caramelized onions.
Oh yeah.
I added Havarti cheese because that's a real melty cheese. I really
Yeah.
like. It's got a little tang to it, but it really melts out nice. So I added a little bit of that, and then I wanted to make sure that I could get real nice and tucked, because then what I did is I rolled that up, and then I actually then rolled that whole thing in a piece of parchment paper,
Yeah.
and then stack them inside of a gallon-sized
Yeah.
freezer bag. And I got about 10 in one of those gallon-sized freezer bags, and I put 3.5 of them in the freezer and just let them get rock solid. Having those things wrapped up in parchment paper, not only was it super easy just to pull right out of the freezer, but then when I was ready to cook them, it was 1 minute in the oven, 1 minute in the microwave. Bing, done, pulled it out.
No,
ready to go.
how long? I have a lot of questions.
Hold on, I want to finish my question first. Like,
yeah.
Are you talking like how much meat in the beginning? A full shoulder?
Oh yeah. How
2
much?
shanks?
Oh, gotcha.
How much
probably
meat do I
got for a
need to
batch-
make 30 burritos?
Gotcha. I would say if you can give up a whole shoulder and 2 shanks, I think you'd have a good enough to make right around 30 of those. That's
could do
a
that.
good amount.
That is a good one.
Oh,
You surprised how much
You are gonna
meat
get-
is off a shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You get a lot. There's a lot in those the blade, and then even in the humerus, you're going to get a lot of meat right off that section. What I like about the shank is it really helps basically flavor the rest of what you throw in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of connective tissue in
I
there,
love
and
that
that
flavor.
velvety goodness works its way all throughout that whole part of the shoulder.
I'm a big
Um,
asabuco guy with venison shanks. It's small little pieces, so you could do a couple for your family, but that connective tissue is just like
How do you cut yours up? You got a
Saw it.
bandsaw?
you just saw it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You cut off both sides, and it's just a clean cut on, and you just plop it right in like a.
No, I'm talking like ossobuco is supposed to be like small little discs.
Well, no. What am I talking about? What's the shank? Yeah, it's
You're
yeah.
correct.
I'm talking about asabuco.
What am I talking about? then?
Ossobuco is translated into hole in bone. So what Jared is saying is like you cut these into rings.
Yeah.
So you're not just cutting the 2 knobs off the end and throwing the whole thing in. It's a beautiful shank roast at that point.
So
That's what I
It won't
did.
So we're
necessarily go
comparing apples to
ossobuco.
apples right now.
Well, apples, and I
Correct.
think I
You're-
was more of an orange.
You're talking the same thing at this point.
All
Yeah.
I'm saying is connective tissues are good. But the real question I had was
Umami.
around your wrapping method, because historically I'm terrible at wrap. I worked at Chipotle in college, right? And I was the burrito roller.
When he came home with free food,
Oh.
best night ever.
They didn't have you pack. They had you roll.
I was the roller, and dude, you don't understand pressure unless you worked the roller. That guy, tip him. I know you don't tip guys, because everybody's looking at you, and it's like, I know I'm bad, so I'm just waiting for him to look away to quick roll it, and it literally 70% of the time
Rip.
they'd come back, and it would just fall apart. They'd open the thing to go sit down, and it's just everywhere. And some people were really nice about it, but most were like, make it again. And so I was just going through and through. So
I saw. Now I'm going to talk about one of your competitors. It rhymes with Udoba. But
yeah.
anyway, that guy, he had a pro move that as he's rolling, he ripped mine. He pulled the foil off and he set it on the next tortilla that
yeah.
was already steamed sitting there. So he ended up stealing the next guy's tortilla, but had the time to like wink at the guy at the beginning to make another one.
Nice.
Double wraps
See,
mine.
that was
and
not that
moves it
good.
along. He acted like I didn't see it, but I was like, dude, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, he's better. That's smoother than me. I just sweated and panicked and hoped no one saw it. But you're wrapping them, like you wrapping them pretty tight, like because the reason this is long-winded to ask about freezer burn, actually, because I'm wondering
What'd you
like, so here's why,
Actually.
like, can you? If you
Dude.
roll it real tight, I would imagine the tighter you roll the burrito, the easier it is to wrap in parchment paper and easier to keep freezer burn out. So how'd you make sure that happened?
If you've ever watched Seinfeld, like you're not the ladies that are rolling the cigars. 'Cause
Right.
Wasn't there a whole thing
Yeah,
that
if
they
it's
were
too
rolling
loose.
cannolis and
Yeah.
like blowing them up?
They're not
Like
Cubans.
you don't want to go. You don't have to go super tight, but you want it to be a nice parcel that's not going to leak out in your microwave, or if you go in the oven, you don't want it to leak out. So what I literally did is I got the measurement to where I knew I was going to have space to basically have those ends overlap.
Yeah.
And so I put my stuff actually not dead center, but actually like a half inch towards myself, off center, lift up the front that's facing me onto the top, tuck the two sides, and then roll the whole thing away from me.
Yep.
And by having it roll away from me, I'm getting that the edge that I folded up, that's going to get tucked in nice and neat. So now I only have to worry about the one edge that is now showing. I don't have to worry about the sides coming undone because those are already snugged in first.
Yeah.
So it's really making that tight parcel. I want to say that's how my first ones all turned out, but I had to learn that as I went along.
Yeah, you learn it as you go. But
I ate a few before they even made it.
Obviously.
Thump.
But so you said you wrapped in parchment paper. You didn't do butcher paper or anything like that, and you didn't have any issues?
No, parchment paper works out really well, or even a wax paper, whatever you got on hand. I had happened to just get a big thing of parchment paper, and so it was like that was on hand.
You tape it?
Wax paper, parchment paper. I didn't tape it, but I basically just cut a section just a little bit wider than the burrito itself and did the exact same roll. So now I fold it up, fold in the sides, roll it up. So I do the burrito roll with the parchment paper, and now it's individually set up that way. So my folks that are listening that are into meal prep, I think they're going to get it because they've done a bunch of stuff when it comes to, putting stuff away in their freezer, or even if they're making a whole bunch of breakfast burritos. This is that same idea. You just need something to keep it from sticking to each other. And then when you pull it out, like, man, it's so nice to just throw right into your lunch pail.
Yep.
It's not sticking to anything. And then I used actually the parchment paper as my plate then. Just unrolled it, had it right there, and away we go.
That's awesome.
I'm going to be trying that. Gluten-free and dairy-free, of course.
Of course for you.
They do make corn tortillas.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big corn tortilla guy.
Really?
Nah. Nah.
It's a shame.
I'm not a corn guy. I don't know the last time I've had corn. Nah.
They had some local corn here that was just picked on Sunday morning, and I was way home from church, and I saw that the stand was freshly restocked, and that there was a line of people getting some.
Really?
And I got some of the sweetest, crunchiest corn I've had in a long, long time.
Pass.
Like, I'm usually not a corn on the cob dude, but
you butter and salt them?
I had probably 3 or 4 ears.
Yep.
It was
good on you.
It was phenomenal.
Man, this is the season. You
got
to rip into it. When you hear about this now, people are going to be like, "Well, this is well past."
Yeah.
I'm now having to do freezer corn, but
right.
Oh man, there's a couple weeks in July where, man, if my teeth aren't furry, I'm not eating enough. I need more.
Mm-hmm.
It's all stuck in your teeth. You just keep floss in your pocket.
Yes, I could dig it.
All right. What else? What else in the fall? What else are we looking at?
Gotcha. I would say cube steak. That's always an unsung hero when you're getting into some of these cuts, because heading out to the grill, I'm a perma outside griller. I have one and stationed up all the time. I'm not shutting down for season. I really like to be out there and do stuff outside, even in the dead of winter. But at the same time, like, there comes a time where you want to start changing up stuff a little bit more. You want to do stuff inside. So taking some of those steaks off the larger roasts, we're talking off your sirloin, off your bottom roast, off your top roast, you can cut those into some nice steaks. They do offer a little bit more of a toothiness, a little bit more of a chewiness, just in the nature that these deer are not stuck. Yeah. They are moving around constantly. So by providing a little bit of persuasion, either with, I use a cast iron pan, but guys have meat mallets, or you can use whatever means you have, something that's heavy, something that's blunt, and you want to then put that between some pieces of plastic. You could use your fist, James. Yeah. You got the powerhouse right there.
Yeah.
And just beat the tar out of that steak. And, well, I don't want to say the tar out of it, but you want to take something that's, I would say 3/4 of an inch, and bring it down to 1/4. Like, really spread that thing out. Really get that.
What's your bottom? Do you just put it on like your countertop?
Something stable. I have a nice big island that has a stable countertop to it. It's just, pine boards at that point. But that's a great spot to do it. If you have to use something else that's not in your kitchen, I wouldn't suggest doing this on like a fold-up table or something like that, just because
smash
you're
right
not going to
through.
get some. Or if you have an electric stove, like not the glass top at that point, because
Could I run it over?
through that?
Yeah, just you don't have to do anything. You can make it real flat that way.
I'm just saying. Put it between two pieces of plastic.
Just run it. I think
I would say add some foil.
Or at
You'd
least
have to have foil.
yeah, dude. We're trying that.
I'm definitely gonna try it.
I would love to watch. I would love to see it.
I'll do it.
All right. So
That's your next video.
yeah, I think that's a great one. That's a winner.
Running
for
over a
sure.
If you can run it over. So, but then anyway, going into a flour, egg, breadcrumb setup on that. You've seen that with schnitzel. You've seen that with other makeups. But yeah, you just dust it with flour. I like to really heavily season the flour at that point. Powdered mustard, paprika. Going with a smoked paprika actually really works.
I'm
really
a
good.
smoked
Black
paprika
pepper
man
and salt.
myself. Yep.
Yep. Those 4 go into the flour to really kind of to spice that up a little bit. Then it gets dunked into a couple beaten eggs and then into whatever breadcrumb you want of your choice. Some guys use panko. I've seen people use a Parmesan cheese. I've seen people use a Ritz cracker. That's usually our go-to because those are in the house anyways. So
Right.
a nice crushed up Ritz cracker. And then those will just get, hard, fast seared on each side. Some folks will sear and then go into the oven just to get to the temperature that they want. But you just want to have it basically cooked through at that point or to the doneness that you want. I like to take it a step further and even have a gravy over the top. I don't want to go necessarily a super heavy
You
gravy.
love a gravy.
I love a gravy. And I'll go with a mushroom gravy on this.
Oh.
So you can, if you got the morels sticking around and you've held on to those, this might be a great time. But cutting up some baby portobellos that you already got sliced from the grocery store or whatever CSA is around, fruit stand you got that has those, just get some mushrooms and I'll first do those in a pan just to, you sweat them out, put some seasoning on them, salt and pepper, and you're going to get moisture out of those things. You're going to create a fond in the bottom. Fond is
I'm fond
sticky
of fond.
stuff. Yes, you should be fond of fond, and that's where a lot of flavor comes from. If you wanted to add just a little bit of liquor into that, be it a brandy or a bourbon or whatever, just to then release that once you've done that.
What about like wine?
Deglaze the pan.
With a red wine?
Yeah, deglaze. You could use a wine. I don't think it's high enough proof just in the fact that we're using the alcohol to lift it, but the wine would work.
Okay.
Brandy if I got it, but that's usually an item that I don't keep around very often. But anyway, something like that. Oh yeah, wine would work as well. But here's the problem, because then you're going to get the taste of the wine in your gravy.
Yeah.
And so that's where I like to sit with something a little bit more neutral, something with a little bit more, maybe a smokiness, being it that it's a bourbon. It just matches well with the gravy.
Sure. Okay.
We'll go further on your wine thing here in just a minute.
Okay.
But basically, just to lift that up, you can go the roux style, where you add your flour and your butter into what that little concoction is, whip that up, then add your stock. You could just add the stock and then add your flour in, however you end up making your gravy. But yeah, you could go with a beef stock at that point. If you're making your Veni stock, this is a great time to use that and just let that thing simmer up and thicken up. Ladle that over the top of a steak, and I tell you, that's a fall time classic.
Do you
right
do you keep bones for broth?
I do.
You do.
Those go into a large stock pot. I try to do it all to once.
Do you just do it all and get it done with, and you freeze it in jars or something?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Either freeze it.
I should do that. I always go
we've
as I
been-
go, and it's a pain.
Yeah, the as the go is just because you're always trying to do it. If you can do it in one big foul swoop, it does help when it comes to especially going to the freezing part and just holding those either in bags or sealed bags, however you end up doing.
Yeah.
That. I know some guys will use that into making canned venison, which is something that that would be a good idea to do with stuff that you have that's just sitting in your freezer
Yeah.
in the way. Basically you're preserving stuff with cold, but now move it over into a pasteurization, and then you can basically shift over stock that you have, like meat stock, from one unit to a pantry.
Yeah. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of the cubed meat. I just like broth and, all that good stuff.
Good
soup.
stuff. Yeah.
Stew, especially when it gets cold, like we were talking about before the show. That's really that's what warms you up. Like, it's what I always could go for, so that's awesome.
Right. here I am sweating, just sweating through my shirt sitting up here at Silver Lake. It is really sticky.
It's
Yeah.
thick.
Really humid up here. So to talk about all of this stuff that's, in the oven, like, yeah, I'm just getting hotter and hotter. Like,
Mhm.
ugh. Like I can't, it doesn't sound appetizing.
No,
but
and I'm sitting next to
man, that
Jared, and he
first-
runs hot.
I radiate heat, man.
Man, he's like a wet heater.
Wet heater,
Yeah, like you're just
wet
like
heater.
Like a
wet,
steam
old
room,
wet, like a hot wet
but a
sock.
gross steam room.
Yeah, like a gross steam.
Yeah. But I tell you, there's going to be a cold wind that comes through. It's got to be coming soon.
Oh,
that
it's
just
coming.
puts a chill in your spine. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's time to switch over.
Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, that's close, a lot closer.
It'll be getting cold out. We'll be thinking of hunting. We'll be thinking of some
I'm
wild game recipes.
yeah. You said you had a turkey. You had something with turkey too.
Yeah. I made, this was last winter, I ended up making a French onion turkey soup.
Ooh.
And I tell you, if you haven't been saving your drumsticks, this will cause you to save your drumsticks.
Okay. Explain.
And because in order to get the goodness off these drumsticks, you're braising them anyway.
Right.
So I actually took the good bits. I took 2 legs, I had a couple wings, and actually I had the neck. This was off a domestic turkey, so you got to pardon me here on this, but at the same time, the science is here. The technique
Okay.
is
Good.
sound.
Yeah. Because I just got my
I don't
my
know how
fall
many
turkey
wild
tag.
turkey necks you're gonna get.
No. Yeah. Right.
But taking any of the off bits or even the carcass that you've cleaned up and you want to get the stock out of it, this is the great option to do this same dish as well. So as you're simmering all of these bones, you're going to have lots of bits of meat that are still on there, and this is the time to collect all of that. So you're collecting all those bits, you're still shredding off the meat or off the bones. Now you've got your stock, you can go ahead and put that through your strainer if you want to put it through cheesecloth, to get the cloudiness out of it, whatever you want to do with that.
Yeah.
So you've got your stock, you've got your cooked meat, and now we can start the preparation of French onion, which I thought it was going to be, being French, I thought it was going to be one of these things that's really technical. It's going to
Right.
be very hard to make. And it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, though, is you have to have good control of your heat. So you can't walk away from this. This is something you got to pay attention to.
Oh,
Stay in the
boy.
kitchen.
All right.
Stay
Yeah.
focused. You slice up your onions and you put them into a large pot. You don't want to caramelize them. You want to sweat
them.
Sweat the onions.
Yes. Sweating the onions is at a lower heat, and you don't want the caramelization yet. Because
Okay.
what you want to be able to do is you want to wick away as much of this water as possible. You're sweating out that moisture, and those onions are going to get sweet. You want the sweet to come through on these onions.
Mm.
Now they are going to start to golden up. They're not browning up. There's a difference, and you watch that happen, and you'll be like, okay, I can see the golden action happening here, and they're gonna be super tender. And at that point, you're gonna add your stock in. You're gonna add your bits of meat in there. I almost combined a noodle soup, just being that it has meat
Yeah.
and with the other with the French onion, because the French onion traditionally doesn't have, it's just the onion, doesn't have any meat in there. But being a Midwest guy, I had to have some sort of flesh in there.
Exactly.
So here goes all those bits.
So
Go in
you
there.
just cube them off or like cut them off the legs and stuff, or would you throw whole legs in and let the meat kind of come
I dropped the whole drumstick.
off? Okay.
Bloop.
Yeah.
And I that was the stage before I even started doing making this. So essentially now the product that I added into the stock with the onions is pure shredded meat. All that I'm going to eat.
So you
goes
cook the
in.
meat separate in water or broth?
When he's making his stock.
Oh, when you're
Correct.
making your stock.
for making
yes.
the stock. So
yes,
this
that's what I was
the step.
asking. Okay.
Yeah. Started with the stock making, then the idea came to like, all right, let's do this French onion idea. So then the onions were added in. Now I had something to use the stock in, add in the meat, and then it all comes down to letting that just simmer up, and you add add a little bit of salt to it, and it's really going to start to become its own thing. You really get that sweetness from the onion.
Oh, man.
You get the turkey that comes through, but it's all about how you present this. I'm finding with French onion, it's all on how you present it.
Really? Okay.
So you need to make a crouton.
You
And
make
I'm
a
not
crouton.
talking Caesar salad, half inch by half inch, Gordon Foods croutons. No. We want We want a topper. We want a bowl topper or mug topper.
With cheese on it.
Yes. If you can find sourdough, bam, you're golden. If you can find a French baguette, go
Bang.
with that. That's going to work out good. I didn't. I had to go with whole wheat bread because that was sitting right there.
Yeah.
But I cookie cuttered the top of that thing so it was going to fit the whole mug that I was going to put this in. I did go with a Havarti cheese. I already talked about Havarti cheese already.
Oh, man, you must
Yeah,
love
I
it.
tell you, it's got a
Havarti guy
tanginess
over
that
here.
I love. Shredded that out. It melts beautifully. Put that all on. If you've got a broiler on your oven,
Oh.
you never use it. Well, now I'm telling you, you're going to use it because you take that mug. It's already hot, but you take that mug and you put it underneath that broiler for, we're talking 45 seconds to a minute. You pull that out, and you just got bubbly goodness all over the top of that. That's better than hot cocoa after sledding. I tell you what.
Man, I'm gonna
Made me a believer.
So I'm gonna have to alter it because I can't do bread or cheese.
I will not
I'm
alter
de-
it.
I'm dead
because
inside
I
about
can
that.
do bread and cheese.
But I need it. That sounds really good.
yes. Yep.
That's exciting.
You could go without the crouton, and you could go without the cheese.
He can
but-
use a rice cake
No, I don't.
and
I'm not
some
putting a
ghee.
rice. Ghee is pretty
Yeah.
good.
I don't know.
You go with ghee. There
Some
you go.
That's
ghee.
right.
But
That's awesome. Like I said, we're coming up on time here, so I wanted to just get a few of your
now my
favorites.
mouth's all watered.
I know
too.
because we're coming into season, and I get excited about this. But Nick, before we go, I want to make sure people can, because this is just like a taste, a drop of all the things that you share on your podcast and on your social media. How can people listen and find out some of the things that you're working on?
Gotcha. Again, thank you so much, guys. I'm so excited to be able to just come on and be able just to get guys hyped up for this upcoming season. You know, everybody's gun-ho about getting it, but now it's like, when you got it, now what do I do with it?
Right.
And so being able to give you guys some inspiration is that warms my heart. Warms my heart.
Yeah.
But I'm all over Instagram. You can find me at @Huntavore. Recently, I just got to 1,000 followers.
I
So I feel
Yes.
like there's a community out
boy.
there of people that are excited on making something out of their wild games. So it's like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see all those people that are there. So yeah, follow me there. I'm either making stories. I'm trying to do the reels. I'm not
That's
quite
good
that
for cooking,
cool
though.
yet.
That's what
Yeah.
people do with recipes, right? That's a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So stories, I'm always posting stuff on the stories. I'm posting different episodes I have. I got different stuff that I'm trying out. Coming down the works. It's not even done yet. It's still a brain idea. But if you like pasta, I have a venture down with some pasta and a venison ragu that I'm gonna be working on. So that
man.
this is a Fair
Nice.
Chase exclusive. So
Oh man, stay
Yeah.
tuned.
We appreciate
Stay
that,
tuned for
you
that.
know?
We're gonna have you back soon, hopefully to help us cook some of the things that we killed this year.
gotcha. But yeah, you can find my episodes at sportsmansnation.com. I've joined over there with the whole Sportsman's Nation crew, bunch of relatable guys, and yeah, feels good to be a part of them.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Hey, have a good night.
Excellent.